Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we are talking about the travel myths, beliefs that we had before we left and that we've heard from some of our friends and people we've met that really aren't true, and they shouldn't keep you from exploring anywhere, anytime. The whole world is available. So after 3 years and 25 countries, I think we can feel, well, 25 plus countries, I think we can shed some of our experiences and, you know, share with you what we think and what we found. And the first one is,
I was going to say 25 countries already. Oh my God.
yes, exactly. It's
Okay.
amazing how many we've bounced around in.
Yeah, well, the first one is that it's expensive to travel.
Yeah. And it is if you're taking vacations. Vacations are very expensive
Mhm.
because you're flying, you know, within that 2, 3 week period of vacation. So you have all those flight costs, and then you're staying usually in a nicer hotel or maybe renting a house,
Nicer location.
eating out a lot, you're going to your bucket list places. So yeah, the 2 week vacation is about the most expensive travel you can get, short of flying across the world for 2 days. Um, and it's why we don't try to do that as our retirement strategy, why we gave up our home and started traveling the world, because honestly, the last trip that we took like that was down to Mexico, and we spent more money in 10 days than we do in 2 months out here on the road now. And
Yes.
yeah, so you can travel as expensively as you want. If you've got the money, there are amazing things you can do. You can do the, cruises to the Galapagos and, 5-star everything. Go for it. Happy for you. If you're like us, you're on a budget, there are plenty of ways to save money. We've got videos about them. Hopefully you enjoy those. But for the most part, there are a lot of places in the world that really aren't that expensive.
Yes, exactly. One of the myths, I guess I would say one of the biggest scary parts when you think about traveling is, oh, it's going to break my bank account or I'm going to have to pay for that trip forever.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and with vacations, sometimes you do. You end up putting so much money on your credit card that it takes you a couple months to pay it off, and that's not a good way to travel. Because one, you get back and you're exhausted from your vacation, and two, then you have weeks or months of worrying about the bills and paying for it and second guessing whether it was worth it and all that. So no, there are plenty of ways to travel inexpensively, if not downright cheaply, in certain parts of the world. And that's one of the nice things with retirement travel. You have, hopefully, a lot more time to spend, and you can spend, like we are, months at a time in a single country. And our travel expenses are, you know, $6, $8 for a bus ride, or 10 or 15 or $20 for a train ride, or, find that regional jet uh, flight that maybe costs $50.
mhm.
So, we're really enjoying that. We encourage you to give it a try sometime, even if it's just a shorter, trip in that month to 3 months.
Yes. Well, the next one is safety.
Yikes. Yes. I know that I was as guilty as anybody who grew up in, a fairly safe and secure environment in the States. I was very fortunate growing up, but I did not travel internationally until I was an adult. And so I, watch movies and think of these places as being unsafe. And, Elena's from Colombia, and all I ever heard about Colombia, of course, was how scary and dangerous the drug lords and the gangs and everything else were. So hearing the real story, and now hearing from people we know who spend a lot of time there, not just live there, but it's these amazing, gorgeous countries that is safe almost everywhere now.
Yes, one of the things I can say about that is, I mean, Colombia has been putting a lot of effort to make our country safer and welcoming for everybody.
So the next one is, a lot of us, if and again, this goes back to years and years ago, is we think of these places as not really fully developed, because you've seen, like I said, movies or news or whatever, and you see these villages that are, dirt roads, and they don't have all have electricity and everything else. You're thinking, wow, how can I, handle the heat and humidity in some of these places? These are, all of them are now fully developed, roads, cars, their train systems puts us to shame back in the States. multiple airports all around. So trust me, unless you try to go to a third world environment, you're not going to if you're traveling to major places in the world.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that one because
We
before
all are.
before we talk or start to make plans about coming to Southeast Asia, I was very afraid of like I was saying before, in the movies you see everything is in the middle of the jungle. So in Bangkok, I mean, when we went there, I mean,
Uh,
so impressed with how developed it is, how modern, and
uh,
I mean,
it's one of the most
it's a beautiful uh,
city.
country, and I keep surprising myself with the things that I've been finding in this
Yeah.
part of the world.
Yeah. As we said, I mean, it's, we're staying in hotel chains in major cities or resort cities on the beach. Yeah, we are not in the jungles. And yes, they still exist. There still are jungles you can go to, usually when you go to see the ruins of some of the temples.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then next one is the language.
Yes. We're all afraid that we are not going to be able to communicate.
Yes, of course. With the accent, I mean, it's a little bit
Yeah.
difficult.
You have trouble communicating in English
I,
sometimes.
I have to
Kidding.
say, I have to say that the with the accent is like, for example, right now it's really funny because when he speak with people, especially over here in the hotel, in English, of course, and they understand everything that he's saying. And when I try to tell them the same thing, they're looking at me like, ah.
Yeah.
So,
So all these countries we go to, whether it's been in Europe, in Asia, obviously we've gone to plenty of English speaking countries. So those, we're not talking about that. Though the accents in some of these places are fun, but they're still speaking English. But so many of, especially the young people, have been studying English. That's
yes,
been core curriculum for almost every place we've been for the last 20 plus years, 30 years.
that's mandatory.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So some of these folks speak better English than I do, and I grew up there. And we try to learn the basic words. We try to be able to say hello and thank you, and where certain things. But in the end, most people speak English, and if they don't, you just point, pantomime, pull up Google Translate. It really becomes almost no problem. The only time you really want to be prepared for it is if you're hopping into a Grab or a taxi or something,
Mhm.
Grab being their Uber here in Asia, so that you have the address pulled up in Translate. So you say, my hotel is, and it's
Mhm.
in Vietnamese in the case of where we are right now. So next one is, I don't know about you, but I was always afraid, and I've heard the horror stories that are happening now in some countries due to over tourism. But you always felt like they're not going to like us. I mean, one, you have the whole old ugly Americans thing, and people didn't like us. That really came out of a few incidents in a couple of European countries. Yeah, people can give us a bad rap. Every set of tourists has a bad rap from some idiot. But if you're a nice person and you just talk to folks and ask and be polite, they're welcoming. They wouldn't be tourist destinations if they didn't want you there. Now, obviously if you're going to one of these heavily over tourist area and you're not behaving really appropriately,
Mhm.
I don't have any sympathy for you. Sorry, that's on you. But if you were respectful and kind and you do a little research ahead of time to know what the rules are and a couple of those key words, you won't have any problem.
I agree. Yes, it's they really appreciate that you, even if you don't speak the language, that you try, and that they will help you. And they're always, now with Google and all the technology, they take the phone outside and they start to try to figure out what you're saying. But yeah, most
Yep.
of the countries that we have visited, they everybody is very nice.
Yep. So after that, I think the next biggest one that probably people don't, people think that, our Western countries, whether you're American, Canadian, European, whatever, we have the greatest healthcare in the world. And you're afraid of what happens if I get sick? I hear all these things about yellow fever and dengue fever and all these, obviously COVID, came from Asia. What happens if? Well, you know what? They have world-class healthcare here too. People fly from around the world to these countries for certain expertise. Many of these folks have been taught overseas in America and England, and but they have their own great universities, and doctors are great everywhere, and most of them speak better English again than I do. So not a problem at all. In fact, we prefer to get our healthcare over here now, even after being in Europe for over 2 years.
Yeah, well, basically, for that is also, I guess, to add to that is the fact that it's very, very affordable. The hospitals are very modern, and they have all the machines that you can even imagine. So no need to be afraid of having a very good healthcare service in here or anywhere around the world, at least
Yep.
not in the 25 countries that we have been.
Yeah, and to add to that, if you're going to travel, make sure you have some type of travel health insurance. I personally recommend, and I'm not going to say a particular country, but if you buy travel insurance, make sure it's primary medical coverage, because you don't want to have to then submit all your stuff to your US based healthcare and have all that copays and everything else. Spend the couple $100 it takes to get, or less, to get a healthcare that covers you anywhere you go in the world for the time you're going to be traveling. Now, for us, that is all the time. So we pay several $100s a month to have our coverages, but that's different from you going on vacation or going on a limited trip. Do not rely on your personal healthcare back in the States to cover it, because most of the time they won't, or you're just going to be paying all the out-of-pocket costs anyway. So now, while things are cheap, if you have an accident and actually get seriously injured or even moderately injured, the bills can rack up. I mean, it's still a first world healthcare, so it's not free for everybody. Though I must admit, there are some countries where if it's an accident, it's just covered under their general
Medical.
socialized medicine. Sorry, folks.
Yes, exactly. Well, the next one is having the idea of keep thinking that you're not gonna find the food you will like. That is a big myth, right?
Yeah, and I got to admit, even till recently, when we were thinking about coming over to Asia and coming especially to Vietnam, I'd heard so much about how the Vietnamese love that spicy food, and they always were throwing chilies and everything, and you just see people just like tossing in tons of chilies into these dishes. Well, yes, there are dishes with tons of chilies in almost every country.
Yeah.
So
And I was doing this because lo siento mucho, pero necesito decir esto en español y en inglés. No está picante en todas partes. It's not spicy everywhere.
No.
So if you ask for not spicy, they totally understand and they will help you with that, because I'm guilty of that.
Yeah.
I terrified to order some food, and it comes, especially before we came over here.
Yep.
I was like, no, everything they eat over there is spicy. What are I gonna eat? So
well, and there's two parts of that. Two answers to that is, one, they can make almost anything not spicy. Now, you can't get chili crab without the chilies. It's just crab at that point. So yes, that's a spicy dish. You just have to avoid those. But there's thousands of noodle dishes and beef dishes and rice dishes and yada, yada, yada. Plus, they have every type of food in the world. Italians, Mexican, well, people who make Mexican food, French food, et cetera, et cetera. There's restaurants for everything here. We had one of the best burgers we've ever had a couple days ago, just down the block here. Because guess what? It's just a hamburger. People know how to make those.
Yes. But although one thing I would recommend, because past experiences is, especially in Mexico, I asked, ¿está picante? And they tell you, no picante, no. For them, it's not spicy, but for me, it's fire. So always try to have a little something before you put the whole thing in your mouth, because we have a couple of experience where they say it's not spicy, and ooh.
Yeah, there's a difference between it's not spicy and ordering something with no spice at all, no heat.
Yes.
And you have to be very clear, because we did get some Indian food. One of those times we were just craving something other than noodles and rice, and we ordered Indian food, and boy, it did not come not spicy. It was hot even for me, and I like a little heat. So But anyway, you can get every kind of food almost everywhere. The local food is tremendous, and most of it isn't spicy. Um, but if you like a little heat, you can have as much as you want, pretty much everywhere. So the last one is that you're the myth, the fear that you're not going to be able to find your stuff, which of course we talked about extensively in a video about packing and traveling light, which is you can find almost everything almost everywhere.
Yes. Shopping is, I would say, in not just in Bangkok or in the big cities, but even in this city that we are right now, is a thing. I mean, Southeast Asia love to shop. So over here, you can find everything and anything, and if you don't find it, they will make it for you.
Yeah, that's probably the most amazing thing about
Oh,
this. Yeah,
yes.
the boss, custom made down the street for, I don't know, what was that, like
$14.
$14
Custom made.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we were in a shop last week, and getting a pair of shorts. They weren't, they fit well up here but not down there. Yeah. So for Elena, and so she just said, can I get them a couple inches longer? Which, if shorts are already made, how do you make them longer? Well, she just made new shorts for her in a day.
Yep.
So they're so accommodating. They're so used to manufacturing custom clothing. They're making a pair of shorts, and it was still only what, $15.
Yeah.
So yeah, but the other part is, like, city like Bangkok is world famous for shopping. There are malls on every block almost on the main street there. Singapore, of course, is high end shopping, but still lots of stuff. A lot of the cities in Vietnam are more known for markets and places with local stalls selling all sorts of things, both high quality and knockoff. But you know what? A knockoff, Nike shirt is still a nice workout shirt, which is generally what I wear anyway. But by being able to buy like a nice cotton or linen dress shirt for a fraction of the price you'd pay back home, it's a nice benefit. Which is why we say, don't carry all that old stuff from your closet. Come here and get new stuff.
Yes.
You'll spend less than you will on paying all the airlines for your baggage fees.
Highly recommended.
Yeah. The other part of that is, a lot of people think, oh, it's all just cheap, low quality knockoff stuff. And yes, there is a lot of that.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's like I was mentioning before, a little bit of everything, but it's up to you. You go in the mall, or I mean not in the mall, but over here, especially in the city, the market. They call it the market, and you can find every a different brand or a different texture. I mean, if you like linen, all kind of linen, name it.
You like silk? That's
Oh my God,
it's
I love
amazing
the
here.
stuff they
And
have in here.
yeah. So again, quality can be excellent. Yes, it costs more, but it still doesn't cost anywhere near what it would cost at home. And the ability for them to custom fit things, not just make it from scratch, but take something that is off the rack and then just tuck it here and there to make it fit you better, has been truly something we didn't expect, and something we have really appreciated. So those are our big myths. That's what we were, not shocked to find out as we traveled, but relieved and surprised. So hopefully we will ease your mind a little bit, help you kind of see that it's safe, it's healthy, it's delicious to travel and live and enjoy and, eat. Life is good. So thank you for watching.
Thank you so much for watching.
By the way, I'm Peter.
And I'm Elena.
And the channel is Retire Everywhere. We appreciate it if you could like the video, maybe comment, even subscribe. We look forward to you in the next one. Take care.